Hey everybody, welcome to How to Become Rich, Attitudes of Rich and Successful People, where I give my best tips that have helped me become successful, and I've noticed have helped a lot of other people become successful also. Namely, this is stuff that will help get you hired, get you promoted, help you to start a business, if that's what you're into, help you to grow a business, and help you to manage people, money, and projects. Let's dive in. Now, my number one tip for today is that spending is death. Don't spend money unless you have absolutely no alternative. Now, obviously, this is going to require a little bit of an explanation, but I think to most people, this is so idiotically simple and obvious at face value. Just when you hear this, you understand. But, you'd be surprised at how many people don't really understand this concept, and on top of that, don't have the discipline to really apply it to their personal life and to their professional life. Now, I'm going to talk about three things. I'm going to talk about briefly how this applies to personal finances, but then I'm going to talk about how it applies to starting a business, if that's what you're into, and how it applies to working at a day job. If you work in large enterprise or you work in a medium-sized business, you have a 9-to-5 day job, how it applies to that. Okay, let's dive in. So, from personal finances, I think everyone understands this concept. Your life is a balancing act. You got money coming in and money going out. And if you, it doesn't really matter how much money you make in absolute terms, as long as you have more money coming in than what you're spending. Because if that's the case, then it's sustainable and you actually stand a chance of coming out on top in the end. So that's great. But obviously, if you're spending more money than you're earning or that's coming in, then it's unsustainable and it's not going to end well unless something changes. So imagine you're younger, you get your first career job, and to celebrate, you go out and you buy yourself a giant house, okay? Because you got a job now, so you can afford it. So you buy this giant house, and you got to make mortgage payments, you got to pay utilities every month, and you've got to pay for the repair and maintenance of the house. One day you find it needs a new roof or something, and you can't defer that. You need to spend money on that now to solve the problem. So this is actually the worst kind of expense, where you've created for yourself a bunch of mandatory recurring expenses. Okay, this is bad. It's like creating a little black hole, okay, that sucks up all your cash. Whatever money you make, it seems like it just all seems to get siphoned off into that black hole that you've created. And then if you go out and you buy yourself a car, and you got to make car payments and pay for maintenance and all this, you've just created another black hole, right? So if that's what you're doing, it's pretty hard to be successful and to have a lot of money, because no matter how much money you make, you're just siphoning it off into all these expenses. Okay, pretty simple idea. I'm sure everybody understands this. Okay, but let's go a step further. Now, let's talk about starting a business. Maybe you've been curious about starting a business. Maybe you actively want to start a business. Maybe it's something you're going to do someday, or maybe it's something you want to do very soon. Okay? This is going to be hopefully interesting to you. Now, I've worked with a ton of startup founders, a ton of would-be entrepreneurs. I've been to tons of pitch competitions. I've heard thousands of pitches. I've had students and I've consulted and blah, blah, blah. And what's interesting is that a lot of people, their standard business model, it seems to always involve needing to buy a ton of stuff right off the hop. You need thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to buy a whole bunch of crap so that then you can start making money. That seems to be pretty standard. And what I think is interesting is that the entrepreneurs who actually tend to be successful, they're the ones that don't really do that. They're the ones that are lean and mean, and they can get started without really needing a ton of extra stuff. So they don't need a lot of money right up front. Now, maybe this is you, maybe not. And yeah, I can see you. You're watching this video. If you're watching this video, you probably have two things. Okay, you've got a phone or a computer, some kind of device that you're watching the video on, and you've got access to the internet. Now, maybe this is you, maybe not, but there are people out there, a lot of people actually, that can take those two things, okay, that you've got, and without using really any knowledge more than what you have, they can start making money. Okay, just using the device, the internet, and the knowledge you already have, you can use those three things and start generating income. Okay, this is perfectly possible to do. You have to have an understanding of people, you have to have an understanding of how to create value, and you can get started. You have revenue pouring in, right? Now, I hate to use the term rainmaker because I hate these management speak jargon, but that's the only term I know. People that just have a talent for that, okay? Any fool can spend money, and there's a lot of fools that spend money. You probably see them every day. If you work at a day job, you work in a large enterprise, you work in a medium-sized business, you probably see a lot of those people. They can spend money. They can spend the company's money, no problem, on behalf of the company. And in fact, that's how they solve a lot of problems. They just throw money at the problem. But not a lot of people have the ability to make it. Okay? Now, the people that tend to be able to make money are the ones that don't require to spend a ton of it. Okay? And this pays off for multiple reasons. Number one, the obvious reason is that if you don't need a ton of money to get started, you can be profitable a lot sooner, right? If you needed $1 million to get started, you're going to have to make way more than $1 million to hope to be profitable, obviously. Now, the other reason is that money is often a substitute for brains, for thinking. Okay? With a little bit of thinking, a lot of times we can eliminate the need to spend a lot of money. Not a lot of people do this because they don't want to think. They skip that step. They just spend money. But a lot of management initiatives, things like lean manufacturing and stuff, I mean, it's based on this. You know, how can we get better at something? How can we make more money without spending any more money? And it doesn't involve buying a bunch of stuff. It just involves changing what you do. So a lot of the people who are successful at this, they think, you know, is there some way I could change my plan so that I could still accomplish the goal, but I eliminate the need for having to buy this thing. So I don't have to buy it, but I can still accomplish my goal. And they put a lot of thinking into this. And most of the time, they're successful. They find a way of doing it without the need for that thing. And so they can streamline and streamline and streamline until they can make a lot of money without having to spend a bunch of money. Now, the other reason, of course, is that, which is maybe a bit less obvious actually, is that if you need to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of stuff first, okay? The problem is that presumably you don't have those things already, okay? So when you have to buy a bunch of things first, and it costs a lot of money, everything always costs more than you think. Everything always takes more time than you think. Everything always requires a bit more knowledge than you think to produce the desired results. So that plan is riskier because there's so many variables now. There's so many unknowns. And chances are it's not going to go according to plan. So that's another factor too. Okay? But as I said, spending is a substitute for thinking. Now, okay, that's kind of talking about starting a business. Let's talk about if you have a career job, okay? You work at a company or you work at a for-profit company or an organization, and whether you're at the worker level or a manager level, whatever, right? Okay, let's pretend you're the type of person that you can't just spend money. You can actually generate money. You understand business. You understand what is the thing that makes the money. Okay, you have a fundamental understanding of that. And so as a worker, or as a supervisor or a manager, right? You manage to generate some money. Okay? Now, nothing will get you promoted faster than being able to make money for your company. Okay? Even if it's not directly what you should be doing, everybody appreciates that. So if you have this skill, you can climb the ladder pretty quickly. Excuse me. And if you get to an executive role, executives, directly or indirectly, have the job of creating income for the company. Even if you work in something like compliance, which on the surface seems quite far away from any kind of revenue generating activities, compliance is all about generating revenue. It's about avoiding liabilities, it's about cutting costs, it's about, reaping opportunities. Everything directly or indirectly is in a for-profit company is about making money. And if you have that talent, not only will that get you promoted, but if you get to an executive or even like a middle manager, you will perform very, very well if you understand this stuff. And the secret, the prerequisite to being able to do this is understanding that in order to do this, the first thing you need to do is control your spending. Okay? You can't just spend money right, left, and center and still hope to turn a profit. It's just not possible. That thinking leads to things failing. And I see this every day. Maybe you do too. You can see it in the news. If you read the business news and you see what companies are doing and some spectacular failures out there, you look at what led to the failure. More often than not, it's this. It's because people just spent and spent and spent and spent, and then they had either no concept of what makes the money, or they did make money, but it was nowhere near enough to cover what they spent. So, what's the moral of the story? Here's the deal. If you could get a grip on this very simple concept and start thinking in these terms, not just in your personal life, but on the job, doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, doesn't matter if you have a career job, the day job. Okay, if you can embrace this, and then if you start learning about business and you really start understanding what makes the money and you can become that type of rainmaker type person, okay, this will pay off for you big time. No matter what you want to do. If you want to start your own business, that's great. If you just want to work in a conventional job, maybe get good job opportunities coming to you, okay, having a reputation as someone that can generate income and understands this stuff, you will go far for a variety of reasons. Okay? Now, even if it takes you 5 years to figure this stuff out, like how to make the money, that's fine. You got 5 years to work on it. 5 years is going to pass no matter what you're doing. It's nice to be able to learn this stuff in the meantime. But the beginning of that entire thing is learning that spending money is bad. Before we spend money, we need to turn on our brain and see if we can eliminate the need for something first rather than throw money at it. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much for your attention. You guys are awesome. And I feel I haven't done a great job of really trying to inspire people to think more like this, but if you do, you're doubly awesome. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe. Join my channel if you want extra stuff. I'm releasing one member-only video, which is usually longer, every week. And I'm actually thinking of offering a course in this kind of stuff. How to run a business, how to start a business, maybe some management type stuff too. So let me know in the comments what your opinion is on that or what your thoughts are. I appreciate all the feedback I get. You guys are great. And I will see you on the next video. Take care.